Good afternoon. Today, me, Ryan Larkin, my friend Henry Wagner, and my friend Tre Wilkerson will be discussing climate change impacts on native lands in the American Southwest. The American Southwest region is one of the largest, most population dense, and environmentally diverse regions in the United States. It is home to some of the most beautiful geography in the United States, very diverse and very unique, but is also home to some of the most at-risk people in the United States, that being the Native American population. The Southwest is home to over 1.5 million Native peoples across 182 federally recognized tribes. It is very, very important that we take into consideration the impacts of climate change on these peoples as they are underrepresented and even isolated in this, vast region of the United States that's being affected.
Southwest land is an extreme danger. Being such a high risk area filled with very high risk people, it is extremely at risk of becoming a very arid, more than it already is, region of the United States. Seeing that it is such a large and diverse area, there are an extremely large population at risk beyond even Native Americans. The land, as known in Native American culture, land is an extremely cultural relevant part to Native American culture. It is extremely susceptible to water droughts, food insecurities, and being at risk of just losing cultural significance as the lands become inhabitable. There's an extreme one, as detailed by the charts, that Native American tribes wish to have more information on their societies and how it will affect, or how climate change will affect these areas, but they are not being provided it due to the just lack of technology provided by the American government and any lack of information that would actually help the tribes in maintaining a healthy and protected environment from climate change. Tribes dependent on water in such an arid climate, do whether they be farming or just raising cattle, lose a major benefactor in their water supply as runoff and whatnot melt further or melt faster and earlier, leaving their climate or not their climate, their soils much drier and unable to be harvested. Snowpack has drastically decreased, with the California snowpack only being 5% of the necessary amount as seen in the chart on the left. Native Americans face extreme hardship in responding to these issues as they demand for better data, and these impacts will drastically reduce the amount of livestock and agriculture that they will be able to successfully harvest. Climate change is extremely impacting these ways that tribes can support themselves without any intervention from any governmental bodies or any state legislative bodies. Seen into this, it showcases how the snow drought, due to the extreme increase in temperature in these areas, has drastically decreased over the years and will not allow for any irrigation down the stream. With urban expansion, the competition for resources only grows bigger, while the resource basin, where being water or any form of agricultural land, decreases as climate effects increase. With drier soils, stronger groundwater use, and production loss due to the loss of land and overharvesting due to any commercial needs for any types of urban areas, Native American cultures are at extreme risk for completely losing any form of just self-sustainability.
So let's take a look at some of these climate-driven changes and their effects on the native populations. So unprecedented heat intensity with the severe changes in precipitation and atmospheric moisture have increased the spread of airborne and vector-borne, like parasites and mosquitoes, diseases. Among them are valley fever, West Nile virus, and hantavirus. These illnesses pose an increasing threat to the native groups, taking into account the lack of sanitary services such as proper water treatment and wastewater management, which stem from institutional and infrastructural injustices. So building on to that water management, reduced surface and groundwater reserves, which we talked about before, disproportionately affect natives and other groups in the Southwest. Specifically, the Navajos, where only around 30% of homes have running water, and the water that is accessed is oversaturated with various heavy metals, pesticides, livestock waste, and lots of industrial pollutants. So, for example, arsenic and these other heavy metals develop major health threats, including chronic heart disease or kidney failure, and the excessive bacteria leave people more prone to frequent digestive or intestinal diseases. So, moving on, extreme heat waves and significant raised temperatures shown in the chart leave the natives especially susceptible to heavy heat stress. With a more outdoor, laboring lifestyle and little access to safe water, heat stroke and even heat death exists as significant risk to the well-being of natives. Also, record temperatures and extensive drought means that this area is extremely prone to wildfires, which poses a major threat to the safety of the people, their shelter, and their already limited infrastructure. All right, and beyond just temperature, air quality in the Southwest has been a long-standing victim of urbanization. Smog from rapid, large-scale urban expansion and the heavily polluting history of mining and agriculture in that region have contributed to diminishing air condition. The increasing temperatures and arid environment give rise to more persistent dust storms, and these storms continue to distribute particulate, air pollutants, and aeroallergens, which results in more respiratory and cardiovascular diseases in the natives.
Some causes of the native struggle that really make it much worse. Starting with as climate change worsens, native communities in the Southwest face increasing challenges. These struggles can be categorized into three main areas: institutional, environmental, and economic struggles. Institutional barriers make it difficult for tribes to manage their own water resources. Disputes over water rights, federal neglect, and restrictions on land use limit their ability to adapt to changing environmental conditions. With regards to resource and environmental issues, drought and water scarcity threaten access to clean water, and loss of traditional farming due to shifting climate patterns disrupts food security for native peoples. Also, pollution from the oil and coal industries in the region contributes to land degradation, which reduces these people's ability to sustain a traditional way of life that they have for thousands of years. Finally, economic struggles, including high poverty and unemployment rates, make it harder for native communities to invest in climate resilience in their region, and a lack of infrastructure, including transit, agriculture, and water systems, limits their ability to adapt to changing conditions in the area. These factors, combined with climate change, create a cycle of hardship for native populations in the Southwest, making it crucial to address both environmental and systemic challenges to ensure their survival and prosperity. Similar to the Choctaw people outlined in On the Move, it's unacceptable to allow for the government to offer merely moving away as a replacement for the damages industry is doing to their beloved landscape, rather, and native populations with irreplaceable ties to their environment being forced out of their homes. Giving native people a way to regulate and observe climate change effects in their area is what they seek and what they deserve at a minimum. It is unfair to destroy cultural and environmental ties for a group that has had little to no ties regarding to the disaster that is climate change, that is anthropogenic climate change. Thank you very much for listening to our presentation.